That's number Wang.
That's number Wang. Rotate the board.
Let's rotate the board. Number Wank. It's number Wang. Fuck. Welcome, everybody. This is episode number 30.
Hey, we made it.
Oh, it's 30?
Yeah.
It's 30, baby.
Yeah, look at that.
You ever take a shit so bad you have to light a candle?
No.
God damn it, Sandy. Why do you have to ruin every nice thing?
No.
I have taken a shit so bad, and I think many people have, where I've had to take my shirt off.
That's good.
Is that not something you've done?
I definitely do that.
No, I just take all my shits with my shirt
I did that
off.
this weekend, dude.
Oh, yeah? What was the occasion?
I was just very sick this weekend, and I had to go to Vancouver Island, and I came back, and I was just a wreck when I got home. It was not a good time. Not fun. Had a bunch of fever dreams. Not a good time. Fan man
Fun.
totally met like.
Oh, fan man fucked you?
Found me in my sleep. Oh man, and I was just on the toilet sleeping with my shirt off, right? And it was just...
He's like, "Is this your dad?"
Fan man was lying by your side when you woke up.
Oh man,
How was the trip though?
it was good. I went and saw a friend of mine who is now living on like an apple orchard.
That's
very
nice.
cool. Yeah,
Interesting.
and is working as a brewmaster at a brewery.
Oh, I think you've spoken of this friend.
Yeah. So he's making beer now, and he's very successful.
Hey, bro, is your friend Isaac Newton? Because what the fuck? Lives on an apple orchard? Get out of here.
I'm surprised he doesn't make like apple cider or something.
Oh, well, some of the people who came ended up taking a barrel of apples with them, and they were two people who live on a boat, and they're gonna make apple cider while they sail around like Vancouver Island on their boat making apple cider, and then they're gonna surf into Fino.
Oh, cool. So you know Isaac Newton and Magellan?
Yeah.
How many hipsters do you know, man?
No, these guys are the coolest people ever. I've seen this guy who owns the boat. I've seen him, or I've known him for about like four or 5 years, and I've only met him in person like maybe 10, 12 times. And each time it's at some like trip somewhere else that I'm spending an extended amount of time with him. And his life is always 100% different than it was before. He's a crazy dude. But yeah, lives on a 36-foot boat that he bought himself.
Oh, wow.
And is now going to spend the next few months into Fino surfing.
Oh, boy.
While finishing his master's thesis on biotechnology and like computational engineering.
Wow. What was he doing before that?
He was finishing his bachelor's degree in biotechnology, and that, but also living in Australia, and like just bumming around from town to town. And then he like sailed around like North America for a while.
So there's a common theme here.
Yeah. Oh, and then he lived in like Idaho for a while.
Usually
or
on boats. Usually working towards a biotech degree.
Yeah, something like that. But like he was somewhere in the States before, and actually the guy he came up with this time was from that place, the yard that he slept in. There was just this dude, and he was like, "Yeah, you can just come to Canada with me." And he came along, and this guy was super cool as well. And his plan was to bike ride down the west coast of Canada, and also America. And I was like, "Oh, bleep that out." Yeah, his name. I shouldn't say his name, but yeah, that other.
Give him a fake nickname.
Duger.
Johannes.
Okay.
Johannes.
And I was like, Johannes, even your friends are the coolest guys alive.
I wish you luck on your journey, on your bike riding journey.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my weekend, and I was just sick the whole time, and just like hanging out. And I was like, everyone's drinking beer, I should drink beer. Did not help the sickness.
Oh. That's when the shirt came off.
That's when the shirt came off when I got home. I held it together while I was out there, but yeah.
Does it get oily when you drink? The shit.
No, I don't check.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are obviously not in the right state of mind.
Yeah, I'm not in an analytical mood when I'm drunk shitting.
Oh,
honestly.
okay.
Yeah,
I don't get analytical with my stool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in the name, guys. Anal.
Yes.
Come on.
Well, with that.
Just look at it. I mean, come on.
How was your weekend, Sandy?
It was good.
Also, the past 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, I guess
yeah.
that as well. We'll start with you for
It's
the
been
past
a little
3
while.
weeks.
It was all right. It was all right.
It was all right.
Yeah, let's just put it there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, it was good. This weekend, aside from going to a few events, was pretty low key, and just was trying to get this. Hey, new video out.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Thank you.
Really dig it.
Yeah.
More feedback from Logan. Thank you again. Logan has
Barely.
but it helped. Like you definitely. The conclusion of that video was far better. Based on your feedback, and I thank you.
I'm glad. I'm really happy with the changes you made to it. I think it really made it way stronger.
Yes. So. Full disclosure, Logan has been providing feedback for the script of these videos.
Like 80% me. 20%.
Yeah.
Matt sends me literally 3 sentences and then I write the rest of it.
It's a prompt. It's really a prompt.
Yeah.
You're really the ghostwriter behind this.
Yeah, exactly. Matt gets all the glory. I just want to live in the shadows. It's cool.
Matt's the Steve Jobs of the operation.
Yeah, I'm the Wozniak. Yeah.
You can't see it because this is audio, but I'm wearing a black turtleneck sweater right now, and I'm also bald.
Yeah,
I shaved it all off.
All of it.
Yeah, I'm very happy with how the video turned out, though. It was originally just meant to be not a throwaway video, because I never want to put out a video that is just, like, half-assed. Like, I want every video to be as good as I can make it, but this was basically a gap video, or was meant to be one, until I work on the next 2 that are coming up, that I was, like, really focused on getting finished. And then it just slowly grew into something better, which was really nice. I was originally only going to write about The Long Dark, and then as I wrote more, I slowly realized it would probably be more worth my time to compare this to another game that I've happened to touch recently, which is Don't Starve. And it gradually got better. I was originally going to make the video about something completely different, which was comedy via game mechanics. And I'm not sure if I will make that video now.
Yeah, that's a really rough
it's interesting.
Yeah.
And I thought it would make for a good video, and then I got about a third of the way done writing the script and realized it was not. And then
like, what were you pulling from for that? Like
several different games.
Psychonauts, I'm assuming, would be one.
I had 2 problems. One is that I didn't have enough meaningful things to say.
Yeah.
And second was that I thought I was spreading myself too thinly with the examples I was using. They didn't seem, it seemed surface level.
Yeah.
It would have been more worth my time to, for example, do a deep dive into a game like Jazzpunk.
Yeah, I'd say that there are less than like 10 games ever made that actually move comedy effectively into their mechanics.
Yeah,
right. I'd say Jazzpunk's definitely one of them. But like
the examples because it was going to be structured very similar to the last one, the one on darkness, and just the examples I was pulling were so spread so thinly that it didn't seem substantial in terms of content.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I didn't feel qualified to write about a game like Jazzpunk. So I decided to scrap it, and I don't think I'll ever go back to it. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting idea worth exploring. But
definitely, it's just really hard. Like honestly,
yeah.
Even the people who are really good at comedy games talk about how hard it is to make comedy games. Like half of what Tim Schafer talks about is like writing comedy games is so hard.
Yeah,
and making comedy games is incredibly difficult. Like. Yeah. I
mean, comedy is just difficult in general, and the thing about games is that it's a very young medium, and most examples of comedy that you find in games are just the writing is humorous. It's the script, or it's visual humor. It doesn't really have anything to do with the actual mechanics or systems. Yeah,
I think a big part of comedy is timing, and if you give the player control of the timing, the comedy is ruined. Right, and that's why having comedy mechanics.
It's in the hand of the player. If the player's funny, they're going to do something.
Exactly.
Funny.
Yeah, and that's why you've got like games like Skyrim or games like PUBG and stuff that create funny moments because the players create funny moments, but they're not funny games.
Yeah, they're not meant to be funny, but or Battlefield.
Stuff
is another good example of that.
Sandboxes, this shit blowing up. Yeah.
Or when like the player ragdoll freaks out for no reason. Yeah, it's unintentional humor.
Spider-Man 2 had the best ragdoll physics. You could just whip people around. It was the funniest thing ever.
The new Spider-Man came out.
Yeah, it's getting.
It's out.
Yeah, it just came out.
It came out on the 7th. The reviews are out.
Yeah, the reviews
comes out on the 7th.
Reviews are incredibly strong. People really like it.
I haven't seen a single review. I don't want to know anything.
Well, I can tell you they're all really good. People love it.
Yeah, I knew that.
I was finding people to be pretty divisive on that game
Well, there was the puddle controversy recently.
Yeah.
I love the puddle controversy.
Wait, what was that?
So, do you want to talk
Well,
about
The puddle controversy?
yeah, so they showed a demo where they had a puddle in one of the Wilson Fisk levels where you were beating up, like you were defending Wilson Fisk's workers. I'm not going to go into the lore of it. Whatever. It's one of the villains, his workers. You were defending them from a more egregious villain. And on the construction site, there was a big puddle in the first demo ever they showed of the combat. And then in a subsequent demo or the open world gameplay of it, the puddle wasn't there and it was sunnier. So it could only...
Motherfuckers.
So they were like, this is fucking bullshit. This is you making the game look worse in false advertising. And people started just screaming
It's just
about
a smaller puddle.
But then, and then the developer responded on Twitter saying, we assure you, we reduced it just not because of performance reasons. We assure you there are tons of puddles elsewhere in the game.
I can assure you, our procedural puddle technology.
We've always said we have
unmatched.
the best puddles.
We have the best puddles.
We have the best puddles, folks.
They're huge.
They're huge.
That's exactly what I expect of the gaming community at large.
Yeah.
I was really happy with the response to that because like the developer community immediately like fought back against that like horrible consumer ideology of like, you're making the game look bad.
Yeah.
And you could tell it was sunnier on the second instance.
Yeah.
So it's just the weather was different.
Yeah,
so
and
there
minor
was less of a puddle.
mechanical reasoning behind that now is that apparently the game has a day-night cycle, but it's not continuous.
Yeah.
It's just the game's date, like time of day changes as the story progresses, and it will permanently stay in that state until you progress the story.
That makes sense.
Which is super cool. I really like that.
That was the case with Spider-Man 2 even.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
cool. I never played Spider-Man 2, so I've only heard excellent things about it.
Yeah, well, the game itself is kind of terrible. The only fun thing is
The swinging.
The swinging.
Yeah.
The combat's funny too. So speaking of the humor,
yeah.
bringing it all back.
Ragdolls, yeah.
But I now really want to pick up Spider-Man as well. It sucks because I also want to pick up God of War, and there's just all these fucking $80 games that I want to play.
I just started playing Metal Gear Solid 5.
Hey,
it's so good because I needed a stealth game to play.
Yes.
And I was kind of growing tired of Hitman, even though I haven't completed the first one. I was like, okay, I mean, there's not much you can do here. There's so much more you can do with Metal Gear Solid 5. And I play it all stealth. Every time I pick a mission, I want to go at night. And every time I'm turning on my night vision. And then it has the same sound as Splinter Cell, which is as you know, my favorite indie game.
Yeah.
So it turns on and then I do recon. It's so good. And then I haven't gotten too far in the game because I just want to keep replaying the missions and getting better ratings. And I think that's going to be...
I definitely wouldn't rush through it.
Yeah, I want to take my time with it.
It's your new video game obsession.
It's my new favorite indie game.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hideo.
I'm happy you picked it up because I figured you would like it a lot. I mean, you played Ground Zeroes.
Yeah, I did. I played the shit out of Ground Zeroes, but I didn't get any better at it because I was like... There weren't as many options of approaching the mission as there are in MGS5, obviously, because it was just a tiny little island in Ground Zeroes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is so good. I know I'm late to the party, but this is so good.
Better late than never.
Well,
it is a super cool game.
Yeah, it's great. And like I wanted to bring it to the discussion of the humor in games type kind of thing, because I saw a video on Game Maker's Toolkit where they were talking about systemic games. And I think a lot of the funny games are where it is the player's sense of humor in play. So the other example is Breath of the Wild. You can just summon a bunch of chickens by just hitting one, and that's funny. And you can have wild animals interacting with other enemies. And Far Cry 5 was another example in that video. Yeah. So a lot of that happens in MGS5 too. Like I spawned close to a bear after having failed a mission, and then that bear gave me a good chase, even though I gave it a bunch of sleeping darts. It wouldn't go to sleep, and that was funny.
Yeah, I think MGS5 is an interesting example of humorous game design in that some of its mechanics are very humorous. Like the balloon, like picking people up, right?
The cardboard box,
or the cardboard box, the like decoy blow up.
Exactly.
Like all of these are very, very humorous, very Japanese ideas.
Yeah.
But and I think those are actual humorous game design mechanics, right? But those are really hard to find elsewhere. Right?
Yeah,
like people usually kind of drop the ball when it comes around to that. Right. You've got games like I think a game that tried to be really funny but then ended up kind of falling flat was like Bulletstorm. Bulletstorm was this game where it was just a really violent arcade shooter, but with a bunch of jokes thrown in. But it's like, that doesn't mean it's like a funny game.
Yeah.
Like moment to moment gameplay wasn't funny. It was the cutscenes that were.
I think it's the same kind of thing where it was probably a challenge for the Doom team to make the game feel more visceral, like with the kills and everything. That involves a lot of, you know, the animations and everything.
Yeah.
And then that could be, I guess that's a place in the gameplay where you could put humor instead of the violence there.
And they're doing that in the new Doom, it looks like.
Yeah.
Like Doom Eternal had that kill that was like, they just smashed the dude's head into the thing.
And he has no neck.
That was fucking hilarious.
That was so funny.
Right?
So
I'm glad they're leaning on that. I think Doom Eternal will be really interesting based on the kind of angle they're taking with it.
Yeah.
I also love the new things they're adding for mobility. It seems like they're iterating in a good direction, like that meat hook.
Yeah.
As they say.
Yeah.
It's
really cool.
Yeah. That's attached to the shotgun or something, right? Yeah, I love that.
Really, it seems like a really good fit.
Yeah. No, I think that team is going to start doing really cool stuff with that game. I'm really excited for it.
And I think Doom benefits from not trying to be this realistic thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Or like a sim. And I think even though MGS5 is in all of their aspects pretty realistic, the fact that they know, hey, it's just a video game.
Yeah.
We can put funny things in it.
Yeah.
And they don't take themselves too seriously. And I think that takes way more maturity than trying to be like, oh, we need to make a serious game, you know?
Well, I think that's so funny with Hideo Kojima's games, especially, is that they usually also take themselves incredibly seriously while also totally shitting all over themselves.
I think they don't really take themselves too seriously. They're just very they adhere very religiously to their internal logic rather than taking themselves too seriously, because I think taking yourself too seriously is something that you project outwards, and they definitely don't do that because, you know, there's a baby in Norman Reedus throwing a thumbs up. But the fact that makes sense in the world is is where the funny comes from. So the internal logic of it is designed in a way that it still works in the game, and it's taking itself seriously in the game. But to us and to the developers, even, they know it's funny and it's supposed to be funny.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard distinction to make.
Yeah, it's I think there is some humor to be found in just how ludicrous the Metal Gear timeline is, and when you really it is funny when you try very hard to take it seriously and try to make sense of everything. Which it's just like, you can tell, like, especially in 4, like, he didn't know what he was doing. He didn't want to make a 4th game. He didn't want to make a 3rd game. Yeah. He was just like,
it's funny how he really didn't want to make a 3rd game, but it's probably the best in the series.
Yeah, I think I have only played 5. I've seen full playthroughs of every single other one. But
one is really good. Like, I played through 1 when it first released on the PS1, and even then it was like an excellent game. There are just some really novel things that it does. I still like think back fondly on the like using your cigarette smoke to see the laser beams, right? Like a really great kind of like pulpy action movie garbage that like was perfectly changed to game mechanics in this like moment of discovery as well. So good. Oh man. And really, I played a bit of 3, but I didn't play it all the way through.
I mean, everybody talks about the Psycho Mantis fight.
Yeah, it's like all those things are great as well. And also the like, how do I contact Meryl? It's like, well, it's on the back of the box, Snake. Just look on the back of the box, and then you look there, and then there's like a fucking thing with Meryl. It's great. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense at all, but it's great. Oh man. Yeah, I think it was the perfect transfer from pulp action into gameplay. They did a really, really good job with it.
Yeah, so that's what I played. Any other games played this week by you two gentlemen? Matt, go ahead.
Matt is waving his hand.
Go ahead, Matt.
In an audio
Matthew,
program.
yes, you.
I played a couple games. So one of the other things I did this weekend and the last couple weekends is I have started a new D&D campaign.
Whoa!
As a player, not the DM.
Kick-ass. How big's the group?
Pretty small. There's only 3 players.
Sick. That's awesome. Holy shit.
Yeah, and it's so I have minimal D&D experience. You guys know that. And then the other 2 party members have no experience.
Hey, that's awesome, actually. That's
and it's good. The DM also, this is her first time ever being a DM.
Do we know the DM?
No.
Okay.
Cool. You wouldn't, but so there's a lot of learning happening. So things are kind of slow right now. Everybody's just getting used to it. But yeah, she's doing a good job so far.
Did you start in a tavern?
Yes.
Yes.
The classic.
Yeah, good shit.
The classic campaign start. Yeah, it's been fun so far.
Awesome.
Only a few sessions in, and this time it's really interesting. So this time I went a lot more in depth with my character's backstory. I'm a monk, monster hunter.
Ooh. Oh wait, are you doing like extended stuff then, or is that a subclass of the monk?
No. It's just it's mainly for thematic and story purposes.
Cool. So it's not like mechanically oriented or something. Cool.
I just have all the perks and abilities that come with being a monk.
Cool.
And yeah, I wrote an actual backstory for my character,
Nice.
and I've been trying. Last session, everybody was kind of 2 of our members were sick, and we were both very tired from the previous day, so there wasn't a whole lot of role playing happening. But aside from that, I have tried to do a lot more role playing than the campaign we did.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and also the campaign we did, I think I structured it poorly to not allow as much role playing as there should have been. I think there's problems on both sides there, but yeah,
I can see that. It was a really cool campaign though.
Yeah, I think I structured it a bit too heavily. I think I don't know. I was a bit too ambitious.
I can see that. I mean, it was very ambitious.
Yeah.
But I did really like the themes and the general flow of your campaign, and I'm still kind of bummed out that we didn't get to see it through, and it doesn't seem like we ever will.
Yeah, I
at
think
this
that
point.
campaign's pretty dead.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the campaign you were. So you were in a tavern. What happened?
Started in a tavern. So we are met by a mysterious figure who takes us to the back of the tavern in a secret little room with a single round table.
Never want to be in that room.
He is part of a secret clan known as the Grey Shapers.
Ooh.
And I'm going to get some of this wrong, but they have connections to the royalty in this kingdom, in the sense that they don't have direct influence over them, but they seem to play some sort of role in influencing who becomes the next king, who has power in the various offices, I suppose. And
It's the Bilderberg group.
yes, and so this mysterious figure has informed us that the current king, who I've forgotten his name because I'm bad with names, and there's a lot of names.
King
in D&D.
McKinnerson.
King McKinnerson, who started as a child king, I believe, and has been king for 15-ish years or something, is known throughout the kingdom as being a lazy king, and he's about to be superseded by somebody else who's an outsider to the kingdom, and has connections to this other group that is known for wanting to cause chaos and just general... Yeah, just mischief and chaos in this land.
Bunch of ratty kids going
on.
Yeah.
And basically the idea is, look, not everybody is very fond of this king, but it is the lesser of 2 evils. And there are spies. My organization and our men have discovered that there are spies that have infiltrated nobility, and they plan to overthrow the king and supersede them.
Right.
And that would be bad, apparently. So we have to stop that from happening.
This is a lot to ask of a bunch of level 1s hanging out.
Yep. We have a dwarf wizard. We have me, and then we have a paladin.
That's a good party. That's a really strong party.
Yeah,
you guys are gonna kill it.
It's going okay so far. Almost died to a bar fight almost immediately after.
Sounds like the starting in a tavern regular shit that happens.
Seems about right. Yeah. It's been fun so far. I won't go into too much detail other than that. But yeah, it's been good, and I know anybody who's listening who has a lot of experience with D&D will say no shit when I say this, but it is a lot more fun and interesting when you roleplay.
Oh yeah, roleplaying's huge.
When you do the voices and you really get into it, it is huge. And that is something that I I wish I'd realized sooner and wish I had done more of in your campaign.
It's a learning experience, right? I think everyone, when they're starting out, you're already trying to learn the mechanics so much that, like, adding on, I have to keep track of a character, like, as a voice and as a personality in my head, it's like a lot. Right?
It is,
so
yeah.
I think getting to learn the system first is natural, and honestly, the game can be fun just playing it as a systems game as well, so... I've always found it more enjoyable as a role player, but that's because I grew up as a drama kid. Right. So,
yeah.
That explains so much.
But yeah, for me, yeah, I'm also one of those people where I generally find more enjoyment in the story side of D&D. For me, it's more interesting for me to experience a good story rather than to try to min-max my character and be like very focused on winning.
Yeah. And role-playing makes it so you end up creating these kind of stories out of nothing, which
exactly.
is really, really fun.
Which I don't think really happens otherwise. Usually, you get a lot of in-jokes that happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Like with the D&D game I'm in, the character I made, I started him out as this like lovable, naive oaf, and now he's slowly becoming this kind of man who's worried about every action he does because he's afraid he's being evil. And this like slow descent into kind of like almost like a violent apathy where he no longer cares because of all of the horrible things he's done, and that he just doesn't question anymore. And like the DM has now like taken that and adjusted my character like mechanics wise to fit that. So now I'm a barbarian and my rage now makes me blind to the faces of those around me, and there's a chance I'll just hit my allies while I'm raging, which is great. And makes it like way more interesting in combat when I end up going crazy. But yeah,
it's definitely very interesting when the roleplay aspects then start to influence the gameplay itself.
And when you start making unoptimal choices because of your character, that's when it starts becoming really, really good, right? Is that if you start making major decisions, not because it's the best thing to do, but because you know your character would do that.
It's what your character would do.
Exactly. And it's just more fun that way. It's exciting.
I agree. Yeah. Definitely makes the campaign more interesting and unpredictable sometimes.
Also, sometimes more easy on the DM. The DM can anticipate what your characters are like and kind of guess what they're gonna do. As long as you can make sure your players stick to their characters, it makes it easier for them.
That being said, it is still very funny when you don't want it to happen all the time, but once in a while when something happens and the DM goes, "Oh fuck! Wait a minute. Give me 1 second."
I can assure you that's 50% of the time. They're just not always letting you know.
my other favorite thing is when a player has a plan or something they want to do that is clearly a very bad idea, and the DM just looks at them and goes,
"You want to do that, huh?"
Just goes, "Okay."
I always try and say, "Are you sure you want to do this plan?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just and most of the time they go, "Yeah." They like don't take the warning at all.
See, I think I have more of an interest now in eventually learning how to DM and run my own campaign, and I think I'm probably going to end up just being like, I'm probably not going to do that a lot of the time. I'm probably just going to say,
I think you get to a point where you find out that total party wipes are not fun usually.
Yeah.
So that's why I end up giving those kind of, hey, you sure you want to do this?
Fair
right.
enough.
That or like you either end up with a total party wipe or you end up having to neuter the encounter so much that it's not fun. Right. So it's all about kind of keeping the fun of the game kind of high. And it's difficult at times.
Fair point. Maybe everything short of a party wipe, I will say okay. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll go, look, guys. Might want
this
to think
plan's
on
going
that.
ahead.
Listen. Let's take 5 for a moment.
Listen here, you little bitch.
This is the DM speaking now. So yeah, doing more Dungeons and Dragons, which has been fun.
Cool.
And then I played a little adorable indie game called Donut County.
God, don't tell me about it, please. Oh, fuck.
Okay.
Oh, man, I'm sad that I didn't play it.
You streamed it, if I recall.
I did live stream it. It is a short game. I highly recommend you play it. I'll avoid spoilers for if you want to play it.
Yeah, I really want to play it. So.
Do play it. I think you'll like it a lot. It is. I'll basically sum it up and sum up the things you already.
I know a lot about it, so yeah, don't worry too much about spoilers. Yeah.
So it's basically the gameplay is, and I think most people have made this comparison. Is very similar to Katamari, except instead of rolling a ball around collecting junk that gradually gets larger the more things you collect, you're controlling a looks like a Looney Tunes style hole in the ground. You move around, and the more stuff that falls into it, the larger it gets. And so you just have this little hole of infinite depth going around, absorbing this entire town and all the poor animals. Most characters in this game are an animal. And yeah, this is a game where you basically are an asshole and just destroy people's property. And you control a little raccoon named BK who's controlling this hole. That's the basic premise. So the gameplay is very similar to Katamari. In terms of tone, though, I was very surprised to find that it reminds me a lot of Animal Crossing in a lot of ways. Oh, yeah? Just in the general tone.
Okay. And
in the very quirky sense of humor. It's very, I think you'll like the writing a lot. It's very unique and fun. And all the animals, they have like that little Animal Crossing style voice. Yeah. There really isn't a whole lot more that I can say because it is really only a 2-hour game. But I was reminded a bit of Hylics when I played it, although it is a far more polished game than Hylics.
Well, yeah, I think Ben Esposito, the guy who made it, he used to be part of one of those kind of punk video game collectives. The guys who made the
same collective that made the Sonic Dreams collection.
Yes, that's it. The Sonic Dreams.
Yes, I was very surprised.
I think he also made the Bubsy 3D visits the William Harbour retrospective or whatever.
Yeah.
Bubsy visits a modern art museum.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I think he also made that. But yeah, I can see that kind of feeling of Hylics or that strangeness kind of coming across the Donut County, possibly.
I'm thinking more. I wouldn't say it's not as surreal as Hylics. Hylics is very much it is meant to be bizarre in a lot of aspects. But I just in the sense that it is a very short game. There isn't a ton of depth to the gameplay, although they do some very interesting things with the hole later on. Like they kind of throw in some extra mechanics that they build on in some interesting ways.
Cool.
But yeah, just not a ton of depth to the puzzles and, not a ton of depth to the story, but it's all presented in a really adorable and entertaining way. Like the writing is solid. It's just a fun game. And it's like $13 on Steam. I recommend you pick it up. Much like Hylics, if you have an afternoon to kill and just want a really unique and just fun experience, I highly recommend Donut County. And I'll probably put out a short review of it at some point.
Sweet. I look forward to that. Because I'll probably have played the game by then. And then I'll just disagree vehemently with everything.
You'll probably have written it, Logan.
Secretly ghostwritten.
Yeah. It just sends me the initial document. I think Donut County is good. And then I write the rest.
Donut County is ... and then you do the rest.
There is also I won't say what it is, but there is a point in the game that makes interesting use of light and darkness. Oh, cool. Thank you. Have a good night. I'm all about that.
You're thanked
the
in
yin
the credits.
and the yang.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I've been up to.
Cool.
Logan, you got any games?
I've been in a sad game space for the past few weeks. Not like I've not been playing sad games. I've just been playing not dumb games, just uninteresting games. I don't know. Work's been really rough recently, thinking really hard about games at work, and when I come home, I don't really want to think about games anymore. So for a while, I was playing stressful games after my stressful work, and that wasn't working out. Steven Sausage Roll was getting pretty rough later on. But instead, as a joke, I started playing old school RuneScape on my phone, and unfortunately, I've continued playing old school RuneScape on my telephone.
Oh dear.
Yes, so that's unfortunate.
On your fucking telephone.
On my fucking telephone.
Touchdown telephone.
And God, RuneScape is just like a fucking warm blanket, I'm realizing. It's just like, it's this nice, old, nostalgia-filled, dumb game where you literally have to do nothing but tap on a thing every, 12 seconds to progress in the video game, right? And it's just, they have this mode in it you can choose now where you can choose to be hardcore, where it makes RuneScape a single-player game. You can never trade with anyone else. You're not allowed to buy anything from stores that was sold there by a player. You can only ever interact with your own making within the world. So I just turned that on. I'm just a self-made man in RuneScape. And it's like ridiculous. I played when the international was happening here in Vancouver. I would like watch the games after work and then like tap on a rock while mining iron, right? And I'd just be like, "This is nice."
Yeah, this is after a long day at work, just need something to
exactly. Yeah, it's just fucking nothing. It's such a nothing video.
It's like
game.
the chicken pot pie of video games.
Yeah. Like comfort food. Yeah, it's just a comfort food of a video game. The music is just a massive nostalgia trip for me, so I can just kind of languish in it. So I've been playing that, and then I've been playing a lot of Magic the Gathering, which is cool. Like I got into Magic a few years ago, and I've always been kind of super into the like design aspects of it. I think it's a really, really well designed game. Obviously, it's been around for 20 years. It has to be well designed. But they have Magic the Gathering Arena, which is the digital version of it, kind of like Hearthstone, but it's full Magic the Gathering. So you can just play drafts where you kind of build a deck off of 3 kind of randomly drawn packs. And then you pick a card and pass the pack to the right, and then you do that over and over. You usually have to pay like $20 to do that in real life. But in this game, you can just play the normal game for a while, and then you can get one for free. And it's like, that's cool. Sweet. And then if you do well enough on that, you can get another one for free. So it's exactly like the arena in Hearthstone. But it's way better. So I've been playing a lot of Magic. It's been really fun to kind of, again, a very kind of chill game. I can kind of hang out, spend an hour half-heartedly making my deck from the draft, and then spend the next few days actually playing that draft until it's done. But yeah, other than that, pretty excited about Spelunky 2 got gameplay released.
I didn't watch it.
Whoa, man, I'm excited.
Yeah?
I'm excited for that video game. God, I can't wait for Spelunky 2, and I'm so sad that the trailer ends with a slow reveal of the year that it's going to come out in, and you're like, the only reason they would do a slow reveal of the year is if it's going to come out soon. And then it goes 201, and then it ends with a 9, and I'm so mad that they said 2019, and I'm like, I don't want to have to wait a year. But yeah, so Spelunky 2 looks good. What else? Spider-Man, that new Spider-Man we were talking about.
Cyberpunk got
footage released.
Cyberpunk, I'm getting less interested in the more they show me.
Yeah,
really,
which is really surprising. I was not expecting that.
I'm not buying that game.
That is really,
yeah. I might end up
now.
buying it, but like everything they show me, the more and more, I'm like, okay, guys, you're just all right.
To be fair, I did not watch much of that gameplay.
I didn't either. I skipped around the 40 minutes.
I watched all of it twice.
Oh
Really?
wow,
Yeah.
Huh.
But yeah, I watched the first like 10 minutes, and then I was like, all right, let's see if this gets better, and I skipped forward, and it didn't, and then I skipped forward, and I was like, all right, guys.
Okay, so one at a time, starting with Sandy.
Right. The guy doing the voiceover had a great voice.
I agree.
Really good voice.
Really good voice.
Props. I wish I had your voice.
Yeah, too bad it's not going to be in the game.
Yeah. I wish that guy was voicing the male character, and I could talk continuously all the time. Then I would buy the game.
I hated everything the voice was saying. Like I hated all of the marketing shit.
Cyberpunk.
This is one of the few ways you can approach this mission.
Cyberpunk 2077 is a mature cyberpunk game.
That. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, you showed a titty. It's mature. Thanks. Got it.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah. So, I mean. We've already had this discussion where I don't like first-person games.
I'm not gonna complain about a little tit slip in my video game.
No, it was just bare-ass titties, dude.
Yeah, but it's just like that doesn't make your game fucking mature.
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah. It's like, oh, it's a mature video game, and now you're gonna go kill a cyborg that shoots laser rockets.
Oh, come on.
I feel like having.
I mean, that's not realism though. That's verisimilitude.
Yeah,
but like that's not making a mature video game. Like, and like based on the choices that they're saying, all of the choices had to do with how are you going to complete your objective, right?
Yeah,
it's like I don't know.
It just felt like a very generic shooter looking at it, with just some tech stuff like auto aim bullets and stuff like that, where they.
Which is already done in Titanfall, right?
Yeah, like, they just curve to your target, whatever.
It was strange that they were going for a very realistic tone, and yet there were little numbers flying out of every enemy that you shoot.
I mean, I knew they were going to do the little numbers because, I mean, they made The Witcher.
Yeah.
Right? And
plus also...
Was that in The Witcher?
Yeah, you could turn it on in The Witcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I turned it on because I'm a fucking whore for stats.
Plus also, that's kind of justified because you see the main character get an eye implant. That has like a HUD and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like
you
AR.
Yeah.
you can make
okay,
the case for
okay,
the fact that but I don't know, it just felt like you're saying fuck a lot and it's just a fetch quest. And I feel like Mankind Divided, or like having seen some gameplay of that game, already did some of the, hey, you can either sneak through and get that thing, or you can talk to the guy and get that thing, or you can shoot through and get that thing, which is like what they were trying to show. But even when I tried to, even when the character tried to talk to the guy to get the thing, there ended up being a firefight. So why don't I just go in guns blazing? Yeah, and they're like, this is a heavily guarded fucking hideout for these gang members, so we're just gonna try to talk our way in. And then, but you have to shoot your way out, so might as well just shoot your way in, walk out.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and a big thing that kind of has been rubbing up against me is just the kind of the tone and themes of the game so far that's been revealed are like very far from what I was hoping it would be. So I think that almost all Cyberpunk games, like I think Human Revolution for Deus Ex and also Mankind Divided for Deus Ex dropped the ball hard on having an interesting story that was well told, right? I think they had great like levels with great mechanics and great ways to traverse those areas. But like especially Mankind Divided, the whole fucking Augs are like a minority. Fucking garbage. Holy shit. Done badly and in poor taste. Like it's ridiculous.
I tried to play through Human Revolution just so I could get ready for Cyberpunk, because I don't like playing first person games. So I'm like, I'm going to force myself to play Human Revolution so that I can play Cyberpunk 2077.
Right.
And the story just did not hold me at all. It's like, Jensen, did you get the thing from the guy? And he's like, I'm on my way. And he's like, yeah, just get the thing from the guy. And he's like, okay, I never asked for this. And then he's just like, and he's just like, fucking, I got the thing from the guy. And he's like, okay, good, meet me here. And then you shoot some more people.
Yeah, and it kind of worked in the original Deus Ex because it really was trying to not be super serious. Like, it was trying to be a game where, imagine a world where all conspiracy theories were real, right? And then like, so, okay, that's fucking bonkers as shit. And then the story is bonkers as shit. And that's great, right? But you still had those immersive sim elements of like, all these kind of cool moving parts within a level working together. But with like CD Projekt Red, I'm sure the game is going to be incredibly technically impressive. It's going to get 10 out of 10 review scores, right? It's going to be amazing. It's going to be such a good game. But I have a feeling, I was watching that game and I was like, the same thing's going to happen with me that happened with Witcher, which is where I play it for like 10 hours and I get bored, right? Where it's like, okay, this world's huge, but I'm doing the same thing in every place that I go to. And the stories are okay. Like usually they're well written, right? And there'll be a few standouts in game storytelling probably. But overall, they'll be so few and far between that I just won't be engaged. And it's just kind of, one, I don't have the time for that. And two, like, I feel like it's been done before. Like, I feel like if I want a big open world with a bunch of little stories within it, I could just play The Witcher. And I think Cyberpunk's just going to be that, but in a city, right? And you can drive in this one. Like, all right. Yeah. The thing is really weird is I watched Cyberpunk 2077 and it made me go, man, I wish someone made GTA 4 again. And the thing is that this is where I realized I'm a garbage hipster person because everyone hated GTA 4, right? And I played GTA 4 and I was like, fuck yeah, GTA 4. Make a game where the main character is like a genocidal murderer who's like really remorseful and it's super heavy-handed and poorly told, but also make the entire game look like diarrhea. Right? like I loved GTA 4's aesthetic.
Is it the kind of diarrhea you light a candle after?
Fuck you.
It's funny that you say that because I remember like however many years back people were putting out E and B's for GTA, like lighting, like shader mods, and like taking these drop dead gorgeous screenshots of Liberty City. But yeah, the vanilla game, I
kind of looked like it was covered in diarrhea at all times, which I loved because it made me, when I walked through that city, it felt like I hated everything.
Yeah.
Right. And like I don't know if this was a design choice by the people who made the game, but God, I hope it was. But like when I was walking through that game, I felt like I was Nico Bellic. Right. I felt like, oh wow, this world sucks. It's drained of color and everything is brown.
Yeah, everything's brown. Yeah.
And then like that was so good, and I felt I've spent so much time in that world just walking around. Right. And then I booted up GTA 5, and everyone's fucking farting and talking about Zuckerberg and doing all this fucking garbage shit, and it's all bright and vibrant and like a fucking carnival.
A strange silver lining to find.
Yeah, well, no, but that's the thing. It was because it was so different. I remember watching the first trailer for GTA 4, where it's Nico Bellic talking about how things will be different in America, and it was just this like really kind of slow-paced slice of life, just showing kind of parts of the city living, and it was just him talking about how he's like trafficked people, murdered people, and it was super somber. And then it just ended with like GTA 4, right? And I was like, when I first saw that, I was just like, holy shit, what is this? Like, how did Grand Theft Auto 3 / Vice City / San Andreas, these off the wall crazy bonkers games, turn into this thing?
It's because they downplayed the sandbox elements.
Yeah. And so, but the thing is, the sandbox elements were still there.
Yeah.
Right. And so
they were, but they clashed with this very linear story.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But I think GTA has always been a linear story. I think people are totally wrong about that. Like if you look at GTA 3, you had 3 islands. You had to complete all the story missions on the first island to get to the second island and then to the third island.
Yeah, no,
and it was same structure in 4.
I'm not saying that it has always, or I'm not saying that there was a time when the story and the gameplay meshed very well together and were perfect, and then GTA 4 ruined it when they tried to make it so cinematic and linear. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that yes, they clash, and that
I'd agree
that rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah.
I still like GTA. I mean, I didn't play a ton of 4, but I finished 5 and played a lot of the single player and multiplayer, and I still like it a lot. I had a really good time with that game. But yes, I think that the way that the story and mechanics work are kind of awkward.
I think there's a clash between even the world and the story, right? Because the world still has a lot of that hijinks, like the radio when you turn it on, there's a lot of people like farting and making stupid jokes, right? But yeah, I don't know. It made me kind of stand up and pay attention to GTA 4, right? And it's similar to the original Red Dead. Like the original Red Dead made me kind of pay attention halfway through, because I was like, oh, this is like a real kind of Western story. It's like about family and about like understanding, right? And about violence, but not in this like crazy over the top way a lot of the time, right? But I was like, maybe, you know what? Maybe it's just I just don't care about open world games anymore, because I saw the Red Dead Redemption 2 video as well, and I also just didn't care.
Really?
Like, yeah, it was just a lot of just kind of, oh yeah, you can fish, and oh my God, my favorite thing though, holy shit, is in that trailer they go like, but not all you don't have to solve every problem with your bullets. And then the next shot is this guy punching at you in the face. And it's just like, you can also punch people. And it's so
Save those bullets.
God, it's so funny.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh God.
It's funny that you say that you're burned out on open world games right now, because for me personally, I've been playing a lot of smaller indie games lately, and I think I might be ready for another open world game.
Okay, yeah, fair. Yeah. And I think, like I said, I think 2077 is going to be a phenomenal game, right? I think it's just that my reaction to it was just immediately kind of apathetic. I was just like,
and
okay.
I don't think that's an uncommon opinion, because I think a lot of people did feel that way about The Witcher 3. Like, a lot of people love The Witcher 3. It got great reviews. Yeah.
Okay.
Just at least, like, the circles I'm in, and most things I've heard about The Witcher 3 have been very positive. People seem to really like that game.
Yeah.
And like you said, there are, maybe the storytelling isn't fantastic all the way through, but it has some very standout story
definitely.
modes.
Yeah,
I keep hearing like the Bloody Baron.
Yeah, the Bloody Baron's a phenomenal questline.
Yeah.
Really, really well
things
done.
like that.
And incredibly nuanced and has great characters in it.
The game,
I love that questline.
The game executes on certain things exceptionally well. But I have also heard like similar things to what you're saying, where it was just people looking at it, playing 10 hours of it and going, this is a very impressive world, and it does some things, so well, but I'm doing the same things over and over again. At least that's...
Well, yeah, Witcher 3's combat really kind of was where it faltered, which was unfortunate. But, I mean, it looks like Cyberpunk may fix that. maybe by the time it comes out, I'll be more interested in it.
They brought didn't they bring like a Counter-Strike developer or maybe it was a Counter-Strike player?
I think they brought they've Project or CD Projekt Red. They're a smart studio. I think they're going to bring in people that makes the shooting feel good. And like what I saw, shooting looked really good, right? And so they even made like boss encounters look like they're pretty entertaining. Like you have to kind of scan them from afar with a bunch of your abilities, and you have to shoot certain parts to get them weakened and stuff like that, right? Good twists on the shoot the red glowing part to make them explode, but ones that at least felt interesting and in world.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because it's one of two things. It's either shoot the glowy bit or just sit there for an hour and pump damage into them.
That's what I'm worried. I'm really worried they're going to get damage sponges in there, right? I'm really worried that's going to happen, or you're going to get a Borderlands problem where you just have to constantly be looking for new guns that have higher numbers. Right?
Man, so many of my friends like Borderlands 2. Or have fun.
I think it's a fun game. If you're playing with friends, it's fun.
It is fun with friends. Yeah. But again, most games are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
For me, it was a slog.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
I look back fondly on the fun times had with friends in Borderlands 2, but the game itself, I don't like very much. I never felt like I was progressing in that game, and I didn't care about the story that much.
Yeah, you never really start killing enemies faster because the enemies always scale pretty equally with the guns that you're finding.
It always felt like a grind, and that never changed.
Yeah.
And I could...
But that's the genre. Like, that's the hack and slash genre. It's all
and some people really like that, and that's fine.
It's why I ended up gravitating towards Path of Exile, which is that Diablo clone, but now it's totally not like Diablo at all. Because they were like, oh, the grind gets you towards this incredibly complex end game that ends up making the game not a grind anymore, right? And then it's like, how much of a not grind can you make the game by optimizing your character for the end game? And then you just sail through maps like this fucking wizard. It's real fun. But yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. Sandy and Logan, not excited about Cyberpunk 2077.
Unpopular opinion.
I'm still optimistic. Again, like full disclosure, I watched like the first 10 minutes of the gameplay reveal, decided I don't want to watch anymore.
And you're like, sick tits, I'm excited.
I decided, I want to play it when it comes out, not watch anymore.
Yeah.
So maybe if I watched the rest, maybe I would have felt something. Maybe I would have also felt like...
I'm actually really excited for Spider-Man now to say that, like, that's an open world game, but it's doing a lot of things that seem really cool. Like that the time of day thing, right? Like not having it kind of constantly go through it. I love the idea that you just go, hey, I really like it when New York's at sunset. And just hang out there for hours. Like, I love that. That's such a good idea.
Yeah. And they said that once you beat the game, you can pick what time.
Yeah, fuck, that's such a good idea. Yeah. Like, I really dig... I think this goes to a bigger feeling that I've been feeling recently, that to keep on hammering on this... we haven't mentioned him this podcast, so I'll mention him again. This is I'm going to talk about Tim Rogers again. But
Tim
Rogers. It's time for him to be talked about on the podcast.
Tim Rogers enters the room now. Enter stage left.
But he did a really great and very long review of Dragon Quest XI, because that came out like yesterday or today. And he loves the Dragon Quest series for a bunch of reasons, but he did a 40-minute review of this game, and he talked about how he loved Dragon Quest because it's a game you just hang out in, right? He's like, it's a game you take a shower, and then an hour before bed you play 30 minutes of Dragon Quest, and then you go to bed, and you do that every night, and you just kind of do stuff in the game, and it's not necessarily like intense at all. You just kind of hang out, right? And I think I'm gravitating more and more towards experiences that are like that. Like, I love that feeling of just kind of like, it's not necessarily immersive, but it's just pleasant. You know, you just kind of hang out in the world, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's cutesy or it's lovable, but it's just kind of well put together and allows you time to slow down, right? And so Cyberpunk seemed very against that, like from the gameplay they showed. Granted, it was a guided demo and they were trying to get to things fast, right? But I don't know, it seemed very kind of like driving forward. Like, I can't hang out in GTA 5, and this gave me a lot of GTA 5 kind of vibes. I think it's why I liked Red Dead Redemption, the first one as well, is because it felt very hangouty. And maybe the second one will be as well. Maybe I just don't like those voiceover guided videos.
There have been a lot of those lately.
I mean, it's a good aesthetic. They sell well. I know it got me excited for the original Red Dead when they did like the series of 5 where the female voiceover was saying like, this game's amazing, this game's amazing, this game's amazing. And I was like, yeah, this game's amazing.
Make sure you take care of your horse.
Exactly.
Look at these sick ass tits.
I can't wait to take care of my horse. But yeah, I think Spider-Man looks like a great game to hang out in. Like, and especially they've really taken the swinging mechanics to heart, and like it looks like so much fun to just swing around.
I can't play Spider-Man 2 right now, so I used to do that with Arkham Knight. Just kind of grapple and then up and then glide and then grapple up, and just do that for hours.
It was fun to do that.
Yeah, that's the most fun thing you can do in that game.
It was a neat movement.
The fighting's okay. Like I got bored of it after a while. Actually, the thing you mentioned about GTA 4, I felt about Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Every
That's the only
corner
Arkham
of
game
that,
I've played.
yeah, every corner of that game, I was like, I need to get out of here, and then it would make me go forward. It was kind of a scary. The aesthetic was scary. The fact that you're in this asylum, and then the scarecrow level was really good, and then the game does a false crash, and that was even way better.
I love that. Yeah,
that was so good.
Those scarecrow levels were great because when I played that game, I knew that they would be there.
Yeah.
I'd heard about the scarecrow encounters, and I was still surprised by every single one.
Yeah.
Because each one came at a time I wasn't expecting.
Exactly.
Maybe that's me, like, not, like, I don't know, like, reading the game well.
No, I had
think,
a similar experience.
I think what happened in that game was you finish this thing that you're supposed to do, and then the screen goes at a Dutch angle, and then now you're in a scarecrow event.
Yeah, I loved it.
That was so good.
Yeah,
the second, so I roughly remember how each one starts. There's like 3 in total.
I think so.
And
yeah.
the 3 is the long and final one.
Yeah,
where you're like walking around his head or something at the
Yeah.
end or something.
Yeah.
First one takes place in the hospital section, I think.
Is that where you end up seeing your
unzip the
parents
body
die?
bags?
Yes.
You see the parents, and
that was good. The second one was very surprising as well because you just finished an objective. Everything is very normal.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly turn a corner and it's an infinite hallway.
Yeah.
That was like, what the fuck?
And then a thunder crashes, and then you turn into little Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Fuck, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then the third one, which was there like, was it either Harley Quinn or one of the other characters said like some like fucking Metal Gear ass off, like just some line that made no sense, and then the game does a hard crash.
Yeah.
Which I later learned, I don't know if you guys knew this, the hard crash is tailored specifically for the platform that the game is being played on.
Oh, really? That's
so
sick.
there's an
That's
Xbox specific error message, there's a
that's
PlayStation specific message, and then there's like...
Yeah, I was on PlayStation,
And I
so I
think
got the PlayStation one.
even on PC, I think it's based on your graphics card.
Right.
I think there's different... I could be wrong.
That's so good.
Because I remember the one that said, to avoid Joker's bullet, press the middle stick.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, I could be wrong about this, but I
Yeah.
think there's a different screen for AMD versus NVIDIA.
Yeah, I think Rocksteady realized that, hey, we have the Joker in this game, we can do fucked up shit.
Yeah, and they did it very well.
And they did it really well.
Yeah. I loved Arkham Asylum. It was such a
I think Asylum was the best.
Yeah, I was
agree.
super stoked when I played through that.
I only played Asylum and City. I didn't play Night. Or what was the other one?
Origins?
The one nobody liked.
Yeah, that's the one Rocksteady didn't make.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, out of those two, I vastly prefer Asylum.
Yeah.
I think that was because that game was really designed as a kind of linear experience, right? Or like Metroidvania-esque. Like they had few things that you could
you're
like,
going back.
It was very
places.
focused.
Yeah, it was like a light Metroidvania, but it was really good in that. But then when they announced the second one would be open world, I was like, that game won't work in open world. What are they doing?
Yeah. And then Arkham Knight is an even bigger open world.
Fine.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fine. Like I don't think it didn't work. It just wasn't as good.
Yeah.
No.
I think Arkham City was a decent sized open world. Like, if any game has an open world bigger than that, then it can be hard to wrangle in. Which is what I think happened with Night. It's just everything's too far apart. You can put it all on one of the islands of Gotham City and then just do that, you know?
It's a good scale.
I think I'm just leaning towards more focused experiences. I love it when
That sounds way better. I agree.
I like when I can feel the designer's hand, right? Like when I know, like, oh wow, this was just really well paced, and I understand, like someone worked really hard to get this to feel right, right? And in open world games, it's much hard. It's why Breath of the Wild was such a fucking phenomenal video game, was because when I played that, it felt like the designer's hand was everywhere, right? I felt like this massive world was perfectly hand sculpted for me.
Yeah.
To like have this ebb and flow of I will always discover a thing at this perfect rate that feels natural.
Except for the shrine.
shrines.
Yeah, I think
I'd say the shrines are still great. I think the shrines were phenomenal. Yeah, as like little as long as you the problem with
I have an overwhelming feeling of meh towards the shrines.
really okay. Well, I'd say
you're
that
feeling meh.
I'd say that everything in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild breaks at the 30-hour mark, right? It's like they're phenomenal until the 30-hour mark, and then everything is terrible. Well, not terrible, but meh. I agree with the meh feeling. But that first 30 hours, everything is beautiful. Like the shrines feel fresh constantly for those first 30 hours until you start hitting repeats.
You know what? I'll agree with that. Like the shrines were... I enjoyed the shrines a lot more in the early game, and then the more it went on... And it left me with a bad taste in my mouth. Like, just the more I played, the more I thought, man, fuck, it's another combat shrine. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Or
I had a
one
similar
puzzle
reaction.
that's so easy to solve. And
Similar with
here you go,
with
you finished it.
The great beasts. If you wait too long to do them, they just become cakewalks and really boring, right? And like they fucked the scaling balancing completely. But those first 30 hours, and when I think about it, I'm like 30 hours for some of the best video game playing I've had in my life is great. I'm like, great game. Good job, guys.
Maybe not the best for me, but very exceptional, I would say.
Fair. Yeah. I had a surprisingly noteworthy good time playing that game.
Do you think it would have been better if it was a shorter game?
I don't think so. I think it was there's probably the Wizards and Nintendo could do something amazing, but
yeah. I mean, it's funny. Like you could probably make an argument, but then that also. Does that go against the open world that they've created?
Yeah. So I think what the main point that I come back to is that the game feels better because I know I can't explore it all. Right. And it feels like the decisions of where I went to go explore in those first 30 hours meant something. Right. Because I was like, okay, I decided to go here because this area is going to take 10 hours to explore. Right. And I can't spend that time elsewhere. Right. And so once I do that, I feel like, okay, I got a unique experience out of this. And then, but you can't replicate that all those times until you get to this point where I no longer made a decision, right? Because, I only have one more quadrant of the map to go. I have to go explore that. And you lose that sense of discovery. You lose that sense of player agency because you had all these options at the beginning, and then the more you play, the fewer options you get. So that's why Logan's hot tip on how to play Breath of the Wild: explore 3 regions, defeat 2 dungeons, go fight Ganon, quit the game. I say, and that also allows the difficulty to stay at like a pretty good level through the entirety of it. Because if you fight all 4 guardians before fighting Ganon, Ganon's a fucking cakewalk, and it like ruins the climax of the game. But if it's actually a struggle, if you fight 2 guardians first and you don't get all of the crazy powers, right, then it becomes super fun.
Ganon was very underwhelming.
Yeah, super. But if you did you fight all 4 great beasts before you went, right? And you probably went in there with like a really strong sword and had like the best armor. Yeah, right. And you had 20 hearts. And so if you go in there and you've only beaten two great beasts, that game's phenomenal.
Why couldn't they just know? Why couldn't the game just see that the player has 20 hearts and the best armor and the best sword and be like, oh, we'll just make Ganon better?
Well, that's the thing is
not making him just a sponge for damage, but like making him better in some other way, with like a different form of Ganon. That might be too much work.
Yeah, it might have been that.
But I was gonna say it, but then you are potentially creating a situation where somebody who, well, yeah, I don't know.
You create an argument against this is you create a Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion problem, where Oblivion would scale all the enemies according to what your level was, right? And that would make the game literally impossible for certain play styles, right? And so the optimal way to play Oblivion is to never level up, right? And so if you did this and players found out about it, players will always play optimally, and then they'll play the game in a way that is frustrating in other ways just to avoid the upgraded Ganon fight. Right. And so there are definitely a way to do the way that you're talking about well, but it's sticky. It's like a difficult situation.
Yeah. I don't know how you would solve that problem.
I'm sure there's smart ways that it's been done.
I'm sure there's smarter people than us that can figure that out.
Hell, this is supposed to be my job. I should be able to figure this out.
Well, you're just getting started.
I don't expect any of us to think of something on the spot. Why didn't I do this?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
this thing I've thought about for 2 minutes.
I think like now that I'm talking about it, I think that idea of like the choice you have at the beginning creates such a phenomenal experience, and because players will just try and wring all of the content out of a video game, it just ends up destroying the game at the end because it thrives on that choice and that pure discovery.
Right.
And like, I remember talking to other people who were playing the game at the time, and you'd say like, I went east, and they're like, dude, I went northwest, and they were having completely different experiences than me, and it felt like we were both inhabiting this massive world and doing exciting and new things. After the 30-hour mark, you just start going, oh, well, okay, I guess I have to go to that place now because I now have this, I have to explore all the areas.
I understand what you mean now. Yeah. That's kind of how it was with Skyrim. When I played that game for the first time.
Yeah.
It was like hearing my friends' stories about playing that game, like hearing like, oh yeah, this crazy thing that I just discovered. I like walked into this weird quest.
Yeah, this dog talked to me in the forest or something.
What the hell? Like, I'm like, what? And then you play the game, and then you have your own strange experiences that just seem to pop up out of nowhere, and then you share your stories. Yeah.
It's weird because I think like Skyrim it feels easier to just walk away from it. Right, like I never finished the main quest in Skyrim. I barely finished the main quest in Oblivion. I never finished the main quest in Morrowind. Right, all those games I still say are some of my favorite games of all time, and I just fucking walk away from them once I'm done with them. But with Zelda, I feel like no one who's played Zelda that I've talked to has ever not beaten Ganon. Right, they always just go, oh no, well now it's time to just go to the castle and beat it, and it always leaves them with a sour taste in their mouth. They go, yeah, and then I beat Ganon and it felt terrible because he was really easy and it just kind of ended the game and I couldn't go back and run around. Right, and it was like, I think
you could probably say the same thing about Skyrim though, because I thought the ending of its main quest was a letdown and was way less interesting than some of the side content in that game. Granted, I think that applies to a lot of Elder Scrolls games. The side content is in a lot of ways more interesting than the main quest, but
I think also in Skyrim you're making your own character, so there's like a story being built there. Yeah. And when you finish the game, you still feel like you made this thing. While in Zelda, you're playing Link. Like, you are Link, the hero of Hyrule, right? You can get a house, okay, and that's kind of cool. You can get a horse, you can get a big horse, you can get a weird magic horse, right?
You can get a motorcycle now.
Oh, can you?
Oh, right. Fuck,
in the
I
DLC.
forgot. So
that's
silly.
Great. But like, you're still Link. You didn't really make a thing, right? You didn't create a character. Instead, you explored a world, right? And I think it did a phenomenal job of you exploring a world. And that exploration was yours. But the moment you explore everything, it's no longer yours, right? Instead, it's, just played, you took all the content.
It's just not in any case, it's just not a great way to cap off that self-made, that self-perpetuated exploration. Like, you finding all these cool things, and you're right, like, that's very much yours as a player.
Okay, you know what would be a cool
thing?
And
then you beat Ganon and you just are like, oh, I guess that was it.
You know what would be awesome? They make it like Majora's Mask, but they give you 60 days and you cannot reset time.
Oh.
Right? It's just, you have a hard fucking time limit on your game. No one would like this. This game would get so much backlash, and I would love this game. I would probably say, if they put a 60-day time limit on Breath of the Wild, and they made it so no creatures respawn, because they made them respawn like every 5 days or something, that game would be the greatest game ever made.
I just want to say, after how many episodes with the three of us has it been? 5?
5, yeah.
Has it been 5?
We started at 25.
Oh yeah.
After X number of podcasts, I think the audience is slowly starting to get a very good idea of especially your taste in video games.
Yeah.
I'm actually so excited about the idea of Breath of the Wild, but you only have 60 days.
Oh my God.
It's such a good video game idea.
Yeah, it'd be
I think
very interesting.
It fixes all the problems I just talked about.
I hope
you don't even need to make Ganon scale.
I hope that idea is done in some form. It would be very interesting to see what interesting.
Even if it was just like a toggle you could put on the menu, right? Like, just turn on like countdown
honestly,
mode.
I want a game that has fully fledged, quests and things to do, but then has that very hard limit.
That's what Fallout 1 was.
Like a world that has all these things to do, but is very ambivalent towards
to what you're doing.
Just you have this much time, and we're
here.
We're here. The world is here, and it does not revolve around you.
Yeah.
And I mean, many games have executed on that idea. But yeah, like, I want to see that. I want to see. I just want to see like how it unfolds and what potential like problems, like interesting design problems.
Okay, as an example, the original Fallout 1 released, in that game, you come out of the vault, and your water chip in your vault has broken, and you have, I think, 100 days to fix it, right? 100
right, there was
days.
a time limit, yeah.
So, yeah, that you have 100 days to complete the first main quest of the game. Totally doable, but immediately, like the day of release, huge backlash. They did like a week 1 patch where they patched out that thing. Thing is, I didn't have internet connection when I played that game the first time, so I never got that patch. So I got that exciting experience of like having that countdown.
I thought the 100-day limit was always in the game.
Nope, they patched it out.
Really?
Yeah. But if you saw the 100-day limit, it means you had an unpatched version of the game. I mean, the way they patched games then was you had to download it from the Interplay site.
Can you still get that original patch?
I'm pretty
version
certain
through. Like, would GOG?
I think GOG has it.
Really?
I think you can get it off that. Yeah, I'm not certain though, but like, yeah, the original Fallout had that, and that's why I know no one would like Breath of the Wild if it had a 60-day countdown on it, right? But I would love it.
I mean,
and it would make like resting at inns so much more interesting as a thing.
was there backlash against? This is.
People backlashed also about Majora's Mask.
I was just about to say, did people backlash against this? And it's funny because in retrospect, I think a lot of people look at Majora's Mask very fondly, and some people would even say it's
what I'm saying. If it had a
like
60-day time
Zelda.
limit, literally the best video game that's ever been released of all time.
I think it would get a lot of backlash initially, but then
2 years later, people would be like, everyone missed out on the best game ever released.
Yeah, I think of people a lot of that happens with so many games that. Like it happened with Fallout New Vegas. I think New Vegas came out and a lot of people were disappointed by it. And
it was a buggy mess. It was.
It still
really
is.
Rough. Yeah, but it was like way worse when it released.
Yes, and that I'm not discrediting those claims. Yes, New Vegas even after those patches is a buggy mess in a lot of respects. But in terms of story and player choice and being a role-playing game, it is in many ways superior to Fallout 3. Not saying that Fallout 3 is a bad game. A lot of people, like I've seen like those clickbait videos like Fallout 3 is a disaster.
Yeah.
And
120 reasons why Fallout 3 sucks.
Yeah, like those. Yeah, and it's like no, Fallout 3 was. I enjoyed my time with Fallout 3. I thought it was a good game.
Fallout 3.
I just happen to like New Vegas a lot more.
Yeah, I think Fallout 3 was a good game in everything except its tone. It totally fucked up its tone.
Fallout 3?
Yeah, it was way too dark. They made the game
really
compared to Fallout 1 and 2. Like the thing is, I was coming from Fallout 1 and 2 very excited for Fallout 3. And then I'd say Fallout 4 nailed the tone a lot better, but Fallout 3 like I went into like an elementary school near the first area, near the vault that you start in Fallout
me too.
3,
yeah,
right. And when you get into there, it's run by bandits or whatever, and you get to the basement and there's like a cell with a bunch of child skeletons in it, and then a bunch of notes laying around about how the bandits ate the children. There's nothing funny about that. There's no and then like the bandits got eaten by rat ants, right? But that's still not funny. It's like giant mutated ants then ate these people. It's kind of crazy, but they still ate the children, right? And there was just no humor at all in that.
It is it's very deadpan.
Yeah, it's like if you take the Fallout 2 equivalent, Fallout 2 equivalent is like a bunch of death claws gain the ability to talk, but they still all crave human flesh, but they all talk in British accents, right? And it's like, that's insane.
Okay, so I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you on that, but I will point out two interesting things. One is that Fallout 3 also had a lot of moments where it was dark, but it was also very darkly humorous. There was a lot of like very over the top, just silly shit in Fallout 3.
I'd agree, but I felt like there was too many times where they dropped the humor ball. Like in the original Fallout, there were very few moments where they weren't kind of pushing that humor angle as often as possible, right? Fallout 3 kind of, I agree, like hell, Liberty Prime is hilarious.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good example.
Yeah. Like there are definitely moments of humor in Fallout 3. They understood that was a portion of the game.
Or even like blowing up Megaton is treated in a pretty...
I don't know. That's also not super well done, I'd say. I'd say Megaton's quest line was like a bit too grimdark for me.
It's also very deadpan, but I find it more humorous than... Well, I mean, there's no humor in the dead baby thing.
Yeah.
There's no humor in that at all.
There is humor.
But yeah, with Megaton, it's almost like for me, the deadpan nature of that, the way you're just sitting on the balcony of that hotel.
And the big fucking button in the suitcase is pretty
Yeah,
funny,
yeah. And then the giant mushroom cloud on the horizon.
yeah.
Like, the way that's treated, I thought was humorous. And then you go back and there's that annoying girl who would send you on those fetch quests. Like, she's still there and she's a ghoul there.
Yeah.
I think there's humor to be found in that.
Definitely.
I found humor in that.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying there isn't humor in a lot of places in that game. I just found when I was playing through that game, sometimes I would just kind of get sad. Right, and it was like I never got sad playing Fallout 1 or 2.
I agree with you on that.
And
it is very grim,
Yeah.
and it doesn't help that it has such a bleak art direction.
Yeah, the art direction was pretty rough as well. I'd say that Fallout 4's art direction looks better.
It was so refreshing to see the reveal, even though I have a lot of my own gripes with Fallout 4. It was so refreshing to see the reveal for that and to see it be so colorful, and to see. Like, the world building and art direction is still very strong, but it's not this muddy green mess that Fallout 3 was. Yeah. The other thing I was going to say is that I didn't play Fallout 1 or 2, but I always assumed that those games were very dark as well.
They're not as dark as
Really?
as you think. No, it's actually like No, they're pretty light, honestly.
Really?
There are some things about it, like you can kill a kid in it, right? And like they allow you to, but then if you do, you immediately get branded as a child killer, and the entire game becomes incredibly hard. And there's like real prostitution in it and stuff, and there are like very dark themes in it, but they're almost always surrounded by just this fucking ridiculousness.
Would you even say it's dark humor, or would you say
it's absolutely dark humor? There's a lot of dark humor, right? Like there's a lot of awful things you come across that are then kind of because of ridiculous circumstances, which then creates this dark kind of humor.
I just realized. I guess if it was more dark or as dark as I had originally anticipated, then I guess it'd probably be closer to even. I'm reminded of the tone that was set in the game. I have no mouth and I must scream.
It's not that dark.
Because man, that game is
fuck. It's not that dark. Nothing's that dark, man.
Boy, that
shit's so fucking dark.
Maybe one of the darkest. Because I read the short story. Maybe one of the darkest pieces of fiction I've
dark
consumed.
Very dark.
Very dark.
So you're saying I should play this game?
I mean, yeah, you might really like I mean, it's a point and click adventure. It's not great, honestly. It still has.
So you're saying I shouldn't play this game?
No, probably not.
You said point and click adventure. I'm tuned out.
Talk about cynical outlooks on the future.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll read the short story.
You haven't read the short story?
Not yet.
You should read it. You'll love it.
It's grim.
It's super well written.
It is very well written. I would say, like, I have mixed thoughts about what was the name of the author again? He died recently, I think, or
can't remember his name.
Well, I must want to look it up because I don't want to. Well, okay.
It was say the author of that short story.
The author of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Like I enjoyed the story a lot, despite how dark it was, because I thought it was it was interesting. But I'm not sure how I feel about him as an author, because as much as I enjoyed that story, I do generally dislike how bleak and cynical his approach to writing and fiction is. It's a reason that I appreciate shows like Black Mirror but don't really enjoy watching them. Is I almost feel like it's too cynical for me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll give it a shot. Maybe I won't. I'll let you know next time.
It's really short. I'd recommend
it's a pretty short story.
Okay.
Yeah. Report back to us next podcast. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Man.
Should we go to questions?
Probably. Or do we have a Sandy Asks a Question this week?
I mean, how long have we been recording?
An hour and a half.
Yeah, we should probably go straight to questions.
Yeah, let's go
so?
straight to questions.
Yeah.
I don't really have a question.
Okay, sorry.
I have like 2 questions, but they're not that good. I'll come up with better ones for next time.
Okay.
Also, I like need to get home at some point. So
Yeah.
I'm
Although we did start early.
Oh yeah, we did start a bit. But dude, I have to take all the SkyTrains home. Man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
All right.
I gotta get up
Apologies to those who are looking forward to another Sandy Ask a Question. We'll do it next week, or the next episode that comes out. We'll do it.
Yeah.
Just send me hate mail.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can
don't.
Just yell at me.
Don't do that.
Podcast at quizgopixel.com. Having said that, we do in fact have some emails. That's the email sound.
Ow!
Good one.
Oh, that's some good clipping right there.
Girl!
yeah.
Oh, wow. My Michael Jackson impression.
Thank God for hard limiter.
All right.
So here we go. We have a single
User question.
finely crafted message that was
Artisanal.
sent into us. Truly,
I hope he made it all the way through this
Artesian.
podcast to this point.
Artesian. I'm sure he did. You know who you are. You're the man who sent this message. So here we go. I'm going to read this out. I have only briefly skimmed this message. I have not read it in full, so this is a surprise for me too. We're all hearing this for the first time.
Cool.
All right. So, Moloch writes in, says, you ready?
Love that name, Moloch.
Moloch.
Really good.
This is a friend of ours, we should say.
Yeah.
we know this person.
Listen to
in real life.
Moloch. He makes great music.
Yes.
Listen to his sad beats.
Yes. Here we go. But not so sad that it's too cynical.
Yeah,
for
it's
my
not-
liking.
No. It's sad
cynical.
driven beats. They're great.
It's good music. Here we go. Moloch writes in. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
It's part of the message. By
Here
the
we
way.
go. I'm also going to describe how this is formatted.
Okay.
So,
Is it like an E. Cummings poem?
full stop,
Okay.
2 new lines, start dream in all caps. Last night, before listening to your Fan Man episode, I had a dream that consisted entirely of me trying to fall asleep. It was like a false awakening nightmare. I just tossed and turned for hours, periodically checking a digital alarm clock that I don't even own, dreading going to work in the morning on 0 sleep. At one point, and this is where it turns truly hellish, I go on my computer and order a vape in all caps? Question marks in brackets. In some dream logic attempt to make myself tired. This does not work, and I finally become frustrated enough to leave my bed and head outside. As I walk around in the early morning and still not a wink of sleep, with still not a wink of sleep, I find Logan in all caps sitting on the grass enjoying a picnic. And picnic is spelled P-I-C dash N-I-K.
Okay.
He is good-natured, and the whole interaction gives off an Alice in Wonderland vibe.
Ooh.
I tell him about my sleepless night, and he is sympathetic in the way that only Logan can be. It gets hazy from there, but no rest was assured until I finally awake for real, finding myself not nearly as tired as I expected to be. 2 new lines, end dream in all caps. I don't even play video games, but your show is awesome. Keep it up. Signed, Moloch.
Thanks, Moloch.
Wow.
This is the craziest shit ever because I had an incredibly similar dream experience, and Moloch was in it.
Really?
Yeah, in a similarly mundane role.
Did you guys have this dream on the same night? And
No,
have like
I had mine
a meeting
this-
of the minds?
I had mine last weekend as a fever dream. Like I was super sick, and then like I had the same thing. I was tossing and turning, having a dream about not being able to fall asleep, and then I woke up and I got up and I went outside, but instead I walked out and I was suddenly in like a Victorian club or something, like someplace where like Victorian people would come and they would have tea or something, right?
Or like a masquerade?
Yeah, kind of like that. And
Moloch.
was there. Or damn it, fuck, Moloch. Put Moloch in there. Just like, wait. Everyone be quiet. I'm gonna do the Moloch that they'll then clip and put over what I said. Okay.
Moloch.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. I'll put that over his real name.
Yeah. And
I love confusing our listeners.
It's great, yeah. And yeah, it was like the exact same experience to him, but I had it like 2 nights ago, and it was awful. I had such a bad time because of it. But geez, that's so strange. Holy crap. Thank you for sending that in, Moloch.
Thank you.
It's crazy. I wasn't expecting to have such a strange reaction to that.
That is really interesting.
But yeah, wow, what a great dream, actually. That's very good. I'm glad you tried to buy a vape.
That is terrifying. That really is.
What's coincidental is Logan tried to buy vape juice.
Oh shit.
You two were meant for each other.
Actually,
Oh,
no.
boy.
I think that I interacted with the computer, but instead I was interacting with like an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like in my dream, me rolling over and like depending on which way I rolled, it would interact with the spreadsheet in certain ways. So then in my dream, I couldn't get to sleep because I had to get this spreadsheet figured out by rolling back and forth in certain patterns.
Right.
It was so weird. I hated it.
That's connected to
I
our
think I've-
fidget spinner discussion.
Yeah, for a single input on
Yeah,
That is funny that you mentioned that.
the
Because
great expanded universe of our podcast is growing.
yeah.
I have had a very similar experience. Not with a spreadsheet, but it was like trying to get the correct directions to traverse some space of some kind.
Yeah.
Very
and
vague.
you're rolling like affected
Back
that?
and forth
Yeah.
and to go left or right, and I couldn't find the correct pattern. Such a bizarre thing.
Yeah, it sucked. It was such a bad sleep.
Those are the worst, absolute worst sleeps.
Why buy video games when they're in your mind?
Bam. Anyways,
Or like Tetris Effect.
or like Tetris. Can't wait for that. It's gonna be.
I've been
good.
playing more Tetris lately, and I have been experiencing the
What
Tetris
have you been
Effect.
playing it on?
The Switch. Puyo
Is it on
Tetris.
Switch? Oh, right. I forgot it's on
The only Tetris game on Switch. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I did play a fucking new video game this week. I'm an idiot. I played Bad North on the Switch. Bad North's a game about being Vikings and defending an island. It's great.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, it's like you just play. It's like FTL, but instead you go from island to island, and it's real-time strategy with these little squads of Vikings that you have. And they have this phenomenal way of animating when a boat comes in out of the fog, and you have two dudes standing at the beach where it's going to land. Right before the boat gets to the thing, you see all your dudes kind of back up, kind of hesitantly, and then right when it lands, they just charge forward and like murder all the guys on the boat. It's so good. It was Bad North. Buy it. It's great.
Cool. Shout out to Bad North.
Yeah, man, I forgot it. I totally played an indie fucking game.
There you go. Logan played an indie game that wasn't Magic the Gathering.
That wasn't on his
RuneScape.
fucking iPhone.
Telephone.
Telephone.
Yeah, and it wasn't RuneScape.
Such a sadness.
such a sadness.
wasn't Tomb of the Mask.
Yeah, it wasn't Tomb of the Mask. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Real quick before we go, I originally had no. Shit, I'm not ready. I originally went into this podcast with no leftovers, but I just thought of one just now.
Oh, excellent.
Wait for it.
There we
Oh
are.
man, it's my favorite part of the podcast.
All right, bear with me because I have to actually find it now.
Oh, okay.
All right, Sandy, start scatting.
Sweet da do da da ba do da da zee do do do.
I need to bring up the Steam page.
Sweet da 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 do da 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 da.
The page is loading.
Da 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 da. Sleedy do do.
I'm so sorry.
Strut.
Wait, is
Sleedy
it
do
not even?
do.
Wait a minute. Is it not even on Steam?
What are you looking for?
Stra do do do.
I'm so glad I initiated
Okay, I'll
this.
just say what it is, and then I'll list the details after.
Okay.
So last week we talked about my favorite menu in gaming.
Yeah,
It's not my favorite,
the
but
bad one.
it's the one that Sandy and
Thanks,
Logan
Sandy.
don't.
Yeah, that's what I think of your fucking menu, dude.
Thank you. Last week we talked about Amnesia briefly.
Yeah.
As it turns out, the Amnesia collection, or maybe it's not the collection, maybe it's just the Frictional Games, are on sale right now. It's the Humble Bundle. That's what. That's what.
Oh,
It was.
wow.
That's why it
Okay,
wasn't on
cool.
Steam.
Yeah.
The sales season is upon us again.
It's a heavy discount.
So as of hopefully this is still. Yeah, it says it ends on September 13th. So if you're listening to this sale is probably still on. Check your calendar. And if it's before September 13th, then go ahead and you can get SOMA for 80% off, Amnesia for 85% off, and Penumbra for 85% off. I assume that's all games in those respective collections, like all the Penumbra games, all the Amnesia games.
Yeah. You guys, everyone should buy SOMA and then turn on the story mode, because
The non-monster mode?
yeah, because fuck the monsters there.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do play SOMA.
Yeah,
If
SOMA's
you-
great. Try not to get it spoiled. If it's already been spoiled for you, then don't play SOMA. I mean, it's not really worth it.
Yeah, you're probably not missing much if it's been spoiled for you. But if if you want to bank some games for Halloween just coming up,
Oh yeah,
there's an option.
It's no
Yeah,
longer
if you're into
July.
scary games, I highly recommend Amnesia and Penumbra, the original ones. Or, yeah, the Penumbra Black Plague specifically, and the first Amnesia game. I don't really recommend Machine for Pigs, to be honest. And even if you're not into horror games, check out SOMA, because it's a fantastic story.
It's really well told.
Very well told story. Takes advantage of its medium.
Cool.
Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. This has been episode number 30 of Quizzicast. We hope you had a wonderful time listening. Have a blessed evening, or whatever time it may be for you.
Bye.
Remember to light that candle.